Welcome to Proverb a Day. This is Proverbs 21 for the 21st of the month. Verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes. And the study note on that, we're reading the Life Application Study Bible with study notes. Apply these verses to our everyday life. Okay, the note on verse 1. In Solomon's day, kings possessed absolute authority and were often considered to be like gods. This proverb shows that God, not earthly rulers, has ultimate authority over world politics. Although they may not have realized it, the earth's most powerful kings have always been under God's control. See Isaiah chapter 10 verses 5 through 8 for an example of a king who was used for God's purposes. Verse 2. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. The note on that. People can find an excuse for doing almost anything, but God looks behind the excuses and the motives of the heart. God looks behind the excuses to the motives of the heart. We often have to make choices in areas where the right action is difficult to discern. We can help ourselves make such decisions by trying to identify our motives first and then asking, would God be pleased with my real reasons for doing this? God is not pleased when we do good deeds only to receive something in return. Verse 3. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. And the note on that. Sacrifice and offerings are not bribes to make God overlook our character faults. If our personal and business dealings are not characterized by justice, no amount of generosity when the offering plate is passed will make up for it. Verse 4. A haughty look, a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked are sin. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. The note on that verse, verse 5. Faithful completion of mundane tasks is a great accomplishment. Such work is patiently carried out according to a plan. Diligence does not come naturally to most people. It is a result of strong character. Don't look for quick and easy answers. Be a diligent servant of God. Verse 6. Getting treasures by a lying tongue is the fleeting fantasy of those who seek death. The violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. The way of a guilty man is perverse, but as for the pure, his work is right. Better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Verse 10. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise, but when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness. The notes on 11 and 12. It is better to learn from the mistakes of others than from our own. We can do this by listening to their advice. Take counsel from others instead of plunging ahead and learning the hard way. Verse 13. Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard. The note on that verse: we should work to meet the needs of the poor and protect their rights. We may be in need of such services ourselves someday. 14. A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back strong wrath. It is joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. A man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright. Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. There is There is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise. And the note on that, verse 20. This proverb is about saving for the future. Easy credit has many people living on the edge of bankruptcy. The desire to keep up and to accumulate more pushes them to spend every penny they earn, and they stretch their credit to the limit. But anyone who spends all he has is spending more than one can afford. A wise person puts money aside for when he or she may have less. God approves of foresight and restraint. God's people need to examine their lifestyles and see whether their spending is God-pleasing or merely self-pleasing. Verse 21. There was an end to that. Verse 20. There is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. A foolish man squanders it. So now we're to verse 21. He who follows righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. A wise man scales the city of the mighty and brings down the trusted stronghold. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. A proud and haughty man, scoffer is his name. He acts with arrogant pride. The desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. He covets greedily all day long, but the righteous gives and does not spare. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he brings it with wicked intent? And the note on that verse, verse 27. The kind of worship or sacrifice described in this proverb is no better than a bribe. How do people try to bribe God? They may go to church, tithe, or volunteer, not because of their love and devotion to God, but because they hope God will bless them in return. But God has made it very clear that He desires obedience and love more than religious ritual. See chapter 21 verse 3, Proverbs, and 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 22. God does not want our sacrifices of time, energy, and money alone, He wants our hearts, our complete love and devotion. We may be able to bribe people, but we cannot bribe God. Amen. Alright, verse 28. A false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him will speak endlessly. A wicked man hardens his face, but as for the upright, he establishes his way. There is no wisdom or understanding or counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord. The note on that verse, verse 31. This proverb refers to preparing for battle. All our preparation for any task is useless without God. But even with God's help, we still must do our part and prepare. His control of the outcome does not negate our responsibilities. God may want you to produce a great book, but you must learn to write. God may want you in foreign missions, but you must learn the language. God will accomplish His purposes, and He will be able to use you if you have done your part by being well prepared. That's the wisdom of Proverbs 21 for today. Hope you have a good day and be blessed.